Hello everyone, my name is Brian and welcome back to Bally Spring. If you can't tell, we're just out in field 69 on what is a very nice day. And yeah, as you can see, a bit of work has been progressing. Now we're just about to head on back down to the farm, but before we do, I can just give you a little look in here across the ditch. And hopefully you can see out there our potatoes have just about started to peep through the ground, which is a very, very nice sight, I must say. I actually went out and walked them there yesterday, and fair play to that little planter, because I don't think she missed a spud, to be honest with you. But yeah, really, really nice to see them coming through. Won't be too long, of course, now before they'll be requiring a little bit of fertilizer. But yeah, as you can see, work has been progressing here as well. So yesterday evening I mowed down both this field and the field down at the back of Wes's. I did tether the field down at the back of Wes's already, and this morning there, as soon as it got, as soon as it got on a little bit, I didn't want to mow down too early, of course, because, well, sure, you want to be waiting till at least 11 or 12 o'clock there to make sure that your sugars are up in your grass, you know. If you mow too early in the morning, there'll be no sugar in the grass, and that's not very good for making hay. But yeah, I got field 71 and field 72 mowed down there a few minutes ago, and we have a busy day ahead of us because, well, we have to tether all of this grass, and we have a couple of other jobs on here as well though. So before we start heading, we have to head down the road here because, like I said, we have a bit of a job on, and shouldn't be a huge deal, but well, hopefully it's going to be a fairly quick little job anyway, but we'll see what way it goes. And when we get finished with our heading, we have another bit of a job to go do here this evening, which I am hoping to take you along with me on as well. Now, as you might have noticed there from the top right hand corner of the screen, I have sold my little truck. As you can see, she is gone. Now, I managed to get 26,000 for it, which was pretty good. I was hoping to get a tiny bit more, but look, we needed it gone and we needed the money in, so yeah, I'm happy enough with it. I think we did okay. I also did get paid out of Kevin, of course. We had €770 came in from that job, which was pretty nice. You can probably start to understand why I'm keen to get more jobs baling there like that, because when you're baling with your own equipment, you know, that money doesn't belong adding up, especially on a big job like that. But like, I know we won't always get big jobs like that, but like, you know, if you could pick up a few little jobs there where you'd be getting 20 bales or whatever, it'd be still a nice little bit of money coming in. And I don't know if I really explained this, but when we're doing what I would call contracting jobs like that, where we're using our own machinery, I am going to split that money sort of 50-50. So I put €370 of it into my own personal savings, and the other 400 I actually used to get us a fill of diesel here in the old tank. So that should hopefully keep us going for at least maybe a couple of months, or maybe even a little bit longer. Depends how much work we get, I suppose. But yeah, Kevin was pretty happy with the job we did down there too. You know, he did comment to me even, he said, "God, you're a great man," he said, "for leaving them bales easy for collecting." And, you know, it's one of them things you learn as a contractor there, where, you know, it takes a little bit of extra time, but just leaving the bales 2x2 and nice and handy in the field for them, lads appreciate those little things, because loading's a slow old job, and whatever you can do to make it easier for lads are going to appreciate that, you know. So, speaking of Kevin, while I was talking to him down there the other night to get paid, he asked me about that international, and he wanted to basically know if I had thought any more about it, or if, you know, I was interested in buying it. And I says to him, "Look, Kevin," I says, "I was thinking about it," I says, "for sure, but I said to him, to be perfectly honest with you, I said, I think you were looking maybe a little bit too much on the money end of things, you know." And he said to me, alright, he says, well, what sort of money, he says, were you thinking? And I says to him, well, I said, look Kevin, I said, I'm not trying to rob you or anything. I said, but I think, you know, I'd be a lot happier looking at maybe 2,800 there, as compared with, you know, 3,500. And he says to me, right, well, he says, if you're willing to offer me 2,800, he says, that means you're probably willing to pay 3 grand for it. He says, so will we save a bit of time and say 3 grand on it? And at that point I stuck out my hand to him, and I says to him, you know, you have a deal there. I says, I think that's fairly fair. But he says to me, hold on there now for a minute, he says, because before I shake hands with you, he says, I have a little bit of a proposition for you. And I says to him, alright, I says, what sort of proposition, I says, are you talking about? And he says to me, well, basically what he did was he explained that he's left himself a little bit short on grazing ground there this year. I better swing out here onto the far side of the road, because he's a tight enough old entrance there. And we want to make sure we don't clip on him. But yeah, like I said, he explained that he was after leaving himself a little bit short on grazing ground, and that's how he comes to have these heifers in the shed up here still. So his plan was to convert, you know, all of his ground down at this new farm into grazing ground, basically. Because, you know, sure, it makes sense, that's where he's going to have the majority of his cattle. And up here, he was going to convert any of his grassland that was, any of it that was well fit to be converted, he was going to convert that into arable. And, well, he basically said that he had already started that process, but the sale of the other farm ended up taking a little bit longer than he was anticipating, and well, the other farmer had already put the crops in the ground. So Kevin was kind of left with the option of either destroy those crops and, you know, resow with grass seed, but he obviously wasn't too keen on that, so he took the other option, which was to Kevin left that whole 545 in the right place, but we'll squeeze through here handy enough. I think we're probably fairly good there. I'm hoping we might be able to drive this thing up onto it. But yeah, like I said, he had already started the process here, and as such he's left himself a little bit short there on grazing ground. And well, what he asked me basically was that if I would consider leasing him out the field right at the back of our own shed to store these heifers in. Now, he said to me he'd only want it until about next March, which is only like 9 months, and he said to me that, well, if I would agree to that, he would agree to sell me the International for €2,300. So essentially he'd be giving me €700 for the lease of the land. Now, like, to be perfectly honest with you, if I rented out that field for a year as grassland, like as grazing ground, I'd probably get about 600 for it. So like, he's offering 700 for 9 months, which is kind of more than fair. And, you know, I know we'd be at the loss of the field there for a few months, but sure, like, we're only ever going to get 2 cuts out of that, and sure, what would you make off of 30 bales? Like, I think it's kind of worth it for the money we're going to save here short term, to be honest. So, well, on top of that, I think we'd be kind of doing Kevin a favour, and well, it mightn't be a bad thing to have a lad like Kevin owe you a favour too. So yeah, I said to him that was grand. I agreed to it, and I stuck out my hand. I did explain to him I was after spreading fertiliser in that field back there around the same time I saw the potatoes, so it'll probably be another week to 10 days. But yeah, these little heifers will be coming on up to our farm, and won't that be nice to have a little bit of life around the place, even if they're not our animals. Looks like Kevin has the last of the silage bales ready to go down. I know he had most of them gone, but he has a few kept here alright, but most of them made their way down to the other farm, because sure, that's where he's going to want them. Right, now, as for this yoke, I have a battery here in our 675 Kevin did say it started the last time he got down here, but you know, he also said it was very, very hard at starting, so I don't know what way this is going to go. If we can't get it started, you know, worst case scenario, I'll go down to Wes there and I'll buy a winch, and at that stage I'd probably have to come back tomorrow and try and get it, but we could winch it up to it, like I said, worst case scenario. But yeah, I'm going to grab this battery here that I have for it and whip it into it, and we'll hopefully in a second try and get her going. Right, so I have the battery just gone into her. I did give her a little bit of a clean out inside here as well, because man, there was a fair amount of mould in here. I didn't even get all of it off the seat, and yeah, I don't even want to think about what's growing on that roof cloth now, to be honest. And there's some new strain of something or other growing on the dashboard here as well. I'm kind of half afraid to touch it, to be honest. But we'll give her a shot here and see can we get her fired up. Cross your fingers for us, everyone. We'll see what happens. No. Nope. Try her again. Almost. We give her a little bit of the welly boat. She almost sounded like she'd fire there. Not quite. Come on, Sally. Come on. We'll give her another bit of boat. Oh, be God saying nothing. She's starts anyway. Right, we'll try and get her into gear here now and see can we get her to move. Come on. Oh, she's definitely a little bit sticky there. Come on, girl. Ah, God damn it, she conked. Let's try her again. Ah, come on. There we go. Right. Try that again. Ah, God damn it, she gone again. Come on. Right. Easy does it now. We'll try and spin her around here a bit. Probably should have left it at a little bit further up. I probably came back too far thinking that was a good thing. Ah, dang her, come on. Come on, girl. See what way she likes these ramps now. Ah. Come on, girl. Ah, she's gone again. Go on. Right. Just about. I think I'm happy with that. Let's just jump out here. Yeah, I could maybe try and get her another little tad further even. Would she go again? Come on. Right. Right, I think we're pretty good at that. We should get those gates closed there. Yeah. Right, okay, well, I'll get this strap down and we'll get ourselves on back up to the farm here. Yeah, that went well. I didn't think she'd drive up onto it, to be honest. I'm kind of half surprised, but yeah, we'll get going. Right, so I'm just after getting the straps off, and we're going to stick it in this shed over here. And yeah, like I said, we'll get cracking on with it, because I do need to actually get this off the low loader here today as well, because I'm actually going to be needing this trailer again later on. So hopefully she'll start up again. Let's see if we can get back here. Hopefully fairly straight, and we'll get her back gates down. Right, that looks pretty good at that. Right, so we'll hop up and get ourselves on in, and hopefully she starts again. But if we can even get her as far as the ramps on the back of it, we'll be alright. She'll probably roll off the rest of the way. Come on, girl. There we go. Right, we'll get you in and hopefully we'll have you feeling better and pretty soon. Good woman yourself, right. Nice to actually get to stop it off for once instead of having a conking. Right, yeah, this should be a good enough spot to work in here. I'll have to get some tools dragged over, but we'll get this shut up. And I'm going to go on and drop off this low loader and grab our tether, because yeah, lots to be getting on with here today. All go. Right, I'm just after getting a mug of tea there and a quick hang sandwich, because I hadn't had it. They ate there all morning. Bloody starving I am. But we better get kicking on here, because it's 2:45 now already, and we've lots to do still. Like I keep saying, busy day, but we'll get pulled on out here. Yesterday evening was my first time actually using this tether, and I have to say she's done a great little job. I was very impressed with it. In fairness, your man I bought it off of, he said he kept it well greased, and well, I tried putting grease into her yesterday evening and she was already packed, so fair play to him, he was telling the truth. I did adjust the old belt on her there, because she seemed to be a little bit loose on the tensioner. Maybe he had put a new belt on it, because it did look fairly new, but he mightn't have adjusted it quite right. But yeah, no, she's working away well. As you can see, she does a lovely job throwing up the grass there, so happy out with it now, to be honest, for what money I paid for it, because it wasn't a big amount of money. I'll let you know. But yeah, no, she's doing a nice job there now. Just make sure we might have missed a little bit there, but we can catch it again there when we're finishing up. But yeah, while we're talking about machines here, well, now that we have some of this money, it is time to maybe start thinking about spending some of it. He says after just buying a tractor, but something I had mentioned back there in the very first episode was that I was looking to maybe get a windrower here at some point, and I do think that is something that's going to have to happen here fairly soon. Like, we're not completely stuck, because we do have the little hay bob there. It's just that, well, that hay bob, while I could get away with rowing it, with that, it's, you know, it's a very small little rower, and by the time you'd row all of it and bail it, all of it, you'd have burnt probably 4 times the diesel there, both rowing it and bailing it. And, well, you know, that wouldn't be ideal. You know, if you had a good little windrower or a little rake there that had a decent working width to it, you'd save a lot of money on diesel there when it come to the actual bailing of it, you know. But yeah, like I said, I think it is definitely something that needs to be done. Now, I had contacted Wes about possibly getting us a little rake, and well, he did have one down there, and funnily enough, I had actually gotten a look at it the same day I was down there doing the planter. But I have to be honest with you, I'm not too keen on this rake, and the reason I'm not too keen on it is because, well, in fairness to him, he has a priced reasonably well. He's only looking for 2,800 for it, which is pretty decent, but the reason he's only looking at is because it's actually a V-rake, and well, you don't see too many V-rakes around these parts, and well, the reason for that is because they're not really suited to the sort of fields we have over here, which are small fields surrounded by ditches, as you can see here. And well, the problem you can run into with a V-rake is that they can be very awkward, you know. They're made for places like Australia and New Zealand and America there, where you have big square rectangular fields, like, and plenty of runoff at the ends of them, you know. They're not really even putting on headlands in general out in a lot of them places. They just run big straight rows, and well, you know, obviously that's not the case here. And you know, the problem with him is just, like I said, they're awkward, and you can end up either catching your headlands if you're putting on your headlands first, or if you leave your headlands to last, you're going to end up catching some of your short rows. And either way, you're going to be losing more dry matter there, you know, every time you pass over it with the rake. And well, that's not ideal. So yeah, like I said, I'm not really too keen on that one. But I did look around online, and well, I found a guy with a little dealership. Now, he's about 25 or 26 miles away from here. He's in a place called Greendlands. Now, not Greenland, I'm not going to drive the bloody whole way to Greenland for a rake, but seeing as we're taking the Massey, it may well feel like that. I think we'll go in and maybe start on the small one here first. But this guy has 3 different rakes down here that he thinks might actually suit me. Now we'll get this unfolded here again, and hopefully we should be able to catch the 2 rows. We'll get her down and we'll get off. But yeah, I was budgeting somewhere in around maybe 3,500 to 4,000 for a rake, and well, he has 3 options down here for me. One of those falls well within the budget, is 2,800, which is the same as what Wes was looking for his one. But it is a rake that is on the pretty small side. And well, you know, if I was going to buy a rake, I'm trying to buy it with an eye towards the future, where, you know, maybe hopefully not just for our own work, but maybe it could be a rake that we get to use for a bit of hire work for lads. And so I'm not too keen to buy a very, very small rake, because at that point we might as well be just nearly using the hay bob, you know. But the problem we run into is that these other 2 rakes, while they are, you know, about the size I'm looking for, they are kind of slightly newer rakes than what I was looking for. And well, they're priced as such too. So he has a little crone rake there, and it's a fairly good width. It's maybe 4.5 meters, I think he said, but it's a fairly new rake, and well, he's looking €5,400 for it, and that one is most certainly out of my budget. Now, he does have one other, and that's a little class liner rake. It's a little bit older than the crone, it's a little bit wider than the crone as well, which is a good thing, but he is still looking €4,800 for it, and well, that is still more money than I was hoping to pay, to be honest. I mean, look, if we could maybe get him down on price a little bit, maybe it could be within our budget. But either way, it is definitely worth going and checking these rakes out, because well, what he does down here is something else of interest to me. He has a little slurry tanker down here that I'm actually pretty interested in. Now, when it comes to a tanker, I'm budgeting about maybe, say, somewhere between 4,500, I would say. I don't know if we're going to catch quite these 2 rows, but we'll try. We'll get her down here again. The reason that I want to get a slurry tanker is because, well, there's a few reasons. I know we're not going to be producing slurry of our own, but that tank down there is actually pretty much full. And well, now that Kevin's cattle are going to be coming in, they are obviously going to be producing a certain amount of slurry there as well. And well, we are going to have the use of that slurry. But obviously we can't really take advantage of that if we can't get the slurry that's already in the tank out of there. Now, if we had the ability to spread our own slurry, I think that would probably save us somewhere in the region of about 25% of our overall fertilizer costs for the entire year. And well, that on its own could run into 4 or even 4,500. And you know, all of a sudden the slurry tanker is starting to make a little bit more sense. Now, while the slurry might well be a finite resource and you know it is eventually going to run out on us, when that does happen we will still have the tanker, and well, you know, a tanker of that age with a year's use on it, you're not likely to lose too much money on it. You know, you probably should even hopefully get your money back on it, I'd say, or at least I would be hoping that anyway. And this guy down here does have a little tanker, like I said. Now the thing about it is that I was asking him about it, and the first thing I asked him was what age of a tanker it was, and he said to me it's about 12-year-old tanker, and well, you know, that's basically 100% what I'm looking for. And I asked him what brand it was and what size it was, and he says to me, God, he says, I'm actually not sure what the brand is. He says a lot of the old writing has gone off it. He said it's an Eastern European brand, he says, and to be honest with you, he says, I'm not even sure I could pronounce it. So I says to him, right, okay, I says, well, what size of a tanker is it? I says, and also what sort of condition is the pump in? And he says to me, oh, that pump, he said, is sound on it. He says, the tanker itself, he said, is sound too. He said, there's no rust or no rot on it. He said, look, he said, there's a few scratches and scrapes on it. He says, I'm not going to lie to you, but no, he says, that tank is sound, he says, or the pump is sound, I mean. And he said, I'd even give you 6 months warranty on that pump. He says, I'd be so confident in it. So I says to him, right, okay, fair enough. I said, that sounds great. I said, but what size of a tanker is it? And he's sort of hummed and hawed a bit, and he says, well, look, the writing has gone off. He says, so I'm not 100% sure. He says, but I won't lie to you. He says, it's not a huge tanker now, it really isn't. And I says to him, okay. I says, well, roughly what size are we talking? I says, is it 1300 gallons? And he said, no, she wouldn't be, no, she definitely wouldn't be 1300. He says, she's a bit smaller than that. And I says to him, well, how much smaller are we talking about? I says, is it 1000 gallons? And he says, he said, I don't know. He said, it'd be in or around 1000 gallons. He says, he said, it might be a tiny bit smaller, he says, but it wouldn't be a whole lot much smaller. And I do know that, like, you know, out some of those Eastern European places there, they do measure the tankers in litres. So, you know, maybe it's a 4000 litre tanker, which would be something odd like 880 gallons or something like that. But I mean, if that was the case, I mean, when I was talking about a small tanker, I was hoping for 1000 gallons, but if there was only that much of a difference, I think I'd still jump at it, because, well, like, it'd be worth it for what money we'd save on it. And, you know, if I could get the tanker at that price, I think I'd be kind of happy enough to go and spend a little bit more on the rower, because, like, that class rower really does look a lovely little machine. But look, we'll have to wait and see what it's like when we get down here, and we'll get a better look at these machines, and we'll see where we can go from there. Now, there is one more machine I was going to talk to you about, but this is not on the shopping list for today, because all he has down here are brand new ones. But something else I was thinking of trying to get was a little wrapper, kind of like the one we were using down at Kevin's there the last day. And the reason I want to try and get a wrapper is because, well, I touched on it a little bit in the last episode, where I was talking about, you know, while making hay is grand here and we should have no bother selling it, we're never going to get rich making hay either. You know, hay is probably making, you could say, maybe 22-23 euro a tonne there at the moment. And, you know, that'd mean we'd be looking at getting maybe, what, let's say 90 euro a bale there, for argument's sake, we'll just say. But while that'd be fine, if we had the ability to make silage bales, well, you know, grass silage would be making maybe 55 to 60 euro a tonne. And, you know, on a year where lads were maybe a bit hard up for grass, you could be looking at even making 65 euro a tonne on it, you know. And obviously there'll be a little less material in the silage bales, but you'd be still looking at probably, you know, double the price of your hay bale there per bale, and you know, that's a kind of a price that's almost too good to turn down for us. Now obviously producing the silage bales is going to cost us a little bit more money, because, well, you have to pay for things like wrap, and let me tell you, rolls of wrap can add up fairly quickly. But I do still think it would probably ultimately be worth it for us. Now, one more option that we could have possibly available to us would be to try and do pit silage. But to be perfectly honest with you, I don't really know how feasible that is going to be. I mean, because for that we'd need a forage wagon, and, well, getting a forage wagon could be very, very tricky. See, the thing with the forage wagons is that the lads that have lots of money there, and the lads that are buying them brand new, they keep them maybe there for 5 or 6 years, and, you know, they trade them in at that point and get another one. But the lad that buys the one that's 5 or 6 years old, well, that lad keeps it until it's on its last legs, generally speaking. And, well, the last thing I want to do is buy one on its last legs. And I would be, in fact, very concerned about buying an older one, because, well, those forage wagons, they take an awful lot of going and an awful lot of hardship. You know, they're having to pick up the grass, they're having to haul the grass, they're having to dump the grass, they have to make the trips back to the field. And it's like I said, they get a lot of hardship, but there's a lot of moving parts in them as well, and it's all the more things to go wrong, especially as they get older. Now, even if we could manage to find one in that sort of sweet spot of maybe, you know, 10 or 11 years old, the problem we'd run into at that point is we could be still looking at paying 13 or 14,000, and really I just don't know how feasible that is here for this year. You know, maybe it's something we could look into in the future, but I think for right now, I think really our best option would be to try and get our little wrapper and produce a certain amount of bales. We do, however, run into a little bit of a similar issue with the wrapper, because, well, getting second-hand wrappers can sometimes be tricky too, just in terms of availability. You know, lads kind of tend to hold on to them, they're not a yoke that does get traded in too often. And, like, you know, if we were going to buy a wrapper, we'd want to buy a good one, because, you know, we'd probably be using it for hire work, and we want something that's going to be reliable and not break down on us, you know. So, yeah, it's something we're going to have to think on a bit for sure. I would say to get a wrapper, we're probably looking at maybe spending 8 grand, maybe even 8.5, and I know that's a lot of money in and of itself, so it's something I'm going to have to think on. But you know, hopefully it won't be too long before we'll have a bit of hay here, and hopefully that means we'll have a bit of money coming in as well. And so, you know, maybe we could start thinking about it at that point when we see how things are looking. But yeah, I am going to get cracking on with the rest of this. As you can see, I still have a fair amount to do, although we did get through those 2 small fields fairly quickly, and once we get our headlands done here, the nice part about this field is that it does have pretty big straight strokes there to it, so you don't be too long getting through it. It does make the job a little bit easier when you're not doing little old short strokes there, you know, and that is true for everything from mowing to tedding to rowing it. So, but yeah, like I said, I'll get cracking on, because I want to get down to this lad before it gets black dark anyway. He did say he's normally around until about 7 in the evening, but I explained to him that it might be around 7:30 or maybe even 8 o'clock by the time I get down there, but he said he's happy enough to hang on there and wait for me. So yeah, like I said, once we come back, hopefully we will be down in Greendlands, and I'll talk to you then. Right, everyone, how's it going? And look at that, welcome to Greendlands. It looks like we are just about here. Yeah, he did say to me we'll pass a petrol station, and he said you should see some red brick work. So yeah, it looks like we're just about here. He said to me we go up past red houses, and he said he'll be on the right. He said you basically can't miss him. So Hopefully we don't. I have been known to miss places when lads would tell me things like that, but we're doing fairly alright. It took us about an hour to get down here, which was about what I expected, to be honest, but no, it wasn't too bad. Nice bit of country down here. Now we'll let this lad go and we'll get pulled on in. Oh, nice looking spot he has down here. Good bit of machinery. Presume we're alright just to park up here anyway, and we'll switch off the beacon. We'll get the old lights off and stop her off and jump out. Yeah, nice old spot. Yeah, we got down just in time because, as you can see, we're starting to lose the light there now, but yeah, nice machinery he has down here. Right. A lot of yokes to be out of our budget for sure. Although there's a few older yokes, a Fent favourite. And what's that one? A John Deere 6300. It's a nice little tractor, isn't it? You know, I could see ourselves with something like that someday. You know, it'd be a nice little upgrade from the Massey, wouldn't it? Get something 4-wheel drive, maybe around 100 horsepower. Yeah. Although, I say that, I don't know if I could part with that Massey. I do love that bloody yoke. It's a great little tractor, in fairness. Never gives a day's bother. Nice little Valmet there as well. We did have one of them years ago. The previous contractor I was working with, and yeah, I did always think they were a cushy yoke compared to the newer one. Hold on. Don't tell me. Here. Here. Don't tell me this is the tanker he was on to us about. Is he having a laugh? You know, I think it is. The only other two here are two brand new ones. It's this bloody thing. 1,000 gallons? That joke wouldn't hold 1,000 litres. Would you go way out with that? What am I supposed to do with that joke? I'd be a fortnight spreading slurry with that joke. Would you go way out with that? There isn't even a splash plate on the back of it or anything, sure. Here. No wonder he's only looking 2,600 for it. I wouldn't give him 600 for it. Are you having a laugh? Well, I'd probably give him 600 for it. But my point still stands. God, I can't believe he wasted me bloody time. 1,000 gallons. Would you go away? Right. Yeah, he's got some kit up here, hasn't he? Looks like to have sort of new and owlish stuff here. An old header there and an old little planter as well. And he has a little hay bob up here. This must be why he said he didn't want mine. I did ask him about taking mine for trading, but he said he wasn't interested, and I guess this is why. There's a little tether actually. It's nearly the very same as our own. It is the same brand and all. Huh, that's funny. I wonder how much he had on his compared to what I got mine for. But yeah, oh yeah, these must be our roars. So we'll start with the middle one. This is, I think it's a cone, is it? Yeah, it is a cone. And I know it's hard to tell when they're all folded up like this because they look fairly compact anyway, but she is a fairly small little roar, this yoke. It's only about 2.5 meters, and you know, while the price on it is not too bad, he's looking 2.8. She's definitely seen better days according to the look of her. And you know, you look at that yoke and you look at the weight of the hay bob there, and there's nearly not that much in it. I know, like, you could do 2 rows into one with this, but still you'd be burning an awful lot of diesel rowing with it, you know. And that's why I'm just not a huge fan of it. This is the Crone one, and yeah, this yoke is out of our budget, to be honest with you. And like, in fairness to him now, it is in lovely condition. God, there's not nearly a mark on that yoke. Yeah, nice looking rake, but at 5,400 there's just no way. And that leaves us with this one, which is the Class Liner. And I do have to say, I think this one was probably my favourite anyway. At 4,800 though, you know, I'm still in a position now, like, I'm not going to be buying that bloody thing, so I'm still going to have to go and buy a tanker, and we're still probably going to have the budget about 4.5, and oh man, I don't know. if I paid 4.5 for this, I'd have to come in under budget on the tanker. That'd be the thing. I'd have to, like... It is a nice damn rake though too, like, it's what, 4.8 meters he said. Like, we could pick up a lot of higher work with that chuck, you know? Huh. You don't see too many of them yokes around here. Normally, like, the only trail harvesters you ever see around here are either the JFs or the Pottingers. You don't really see too many classes. Actually, a Jaguar. It's the same name as they do have on the self-propelled ones, isn't it? Huh. She's seen a bit of work anyway. She's fairly well marked. She's definitely seen a good bit of use. Now, what we have on the back for here, we do see a good bit of these around, alright. The last contractor I was working with, we also had actually 2 of these trailers. These were much bigger ones though. This... What's this, 12 foot? Maybe 14 foot? I think it might only be 12 foot, you know. It's definitely one of the smaller ones. It's nothing bad, Nick. Old floors definitely lost a bit of the paintwork, but sure, that's to be expected. They're a nice trailer. They're a good trailer. Hold their money well, I know that much. But the only one thing about them, of course, is they're only a forage box. Like, you can't use them for grain or anything. And so, like, you end up buying them a bit cheaper new because of that, but the second-hand market's good on them. It's like I said, they hold their money. But, yeah, no, she looks a nice trailer. She's in good nick, isn't it? Huh. You know, I didn't really bring up a trail harvester as a silage setup first because, well, like, you know, only having the one tractor, it's not really much of a feasibility, you know. You could technically do it, but God, it'd be so much work. I mean, I'm getting a headache even thinking about it because, like, every time you wanted to bring in a load, you'd have to disconnect from the harvester, and that'd be an absolute pain. It'd be a pain, I'll put it that way. Yeah. Anyway, look, I better go talk to this man about these rakes, and yeah, I think that is also where we're going to do it for today's episode. Unfortunately, you'll have to come back the next day to find out what we buy, or even if we manage to buy one of these off him. I'm definitely going to try and get a little bit of money off it, but look, we'll see how it goes. I know it's been a long episode today, and thanks to everyone for sticking with me. Hopefully you have all enjoyed the episode, and until next time, take care and good luck. Hello?